an ingredient that is missing from most of the success formulas out there today. Without this magic ingredient, your dreams and goals fall flat. But with this magic ingredient, you can accomplish anything and everything you want to. And it's called self-discipline.
Several disciplines that you need to develop if you want to achieve your full potential.
The first discipline of all is the discipline of clear thinking. The quality of your thinking determines the quality of your decisions and choices. Your decisions and choices determine the actions you take. The actions you take determine your results. Your results determine the quality of your life. Peter Drucker said, you need to take time to think. Fast decisions are usually wrong decisions, especially fast decisions involving people or money. So if you're going to make a decision that has long-term consequences, then you have to give it a lot of thought. You have to sort of look at it like a beautiful piece of porcelain. You look at it from every single side and think about it carefully. And the more carefully you think about a decision, the better the quality of that decision will be when you finally make it. One of the very best ways that you can develop the discipline of clear thinking is to sit in solitude for 30 to 60 minutes when you have a major problem or a major issue in your life.
You'll start to go calm, and all the energy, all the fidgetiness will disappear. And it's almost like a bucket full of silty water. You leave it sit there for a while, the water goes completely clear. And at a certain point, ideas will start to come.
As you're writing out all the details, sometimes exactly the right choice pops out at you. It becomes clear, but you would not have triggered that superconscious solution if you hadn't taken the time to think on paper. You know, Aristotle once said that wisdom, which is the greatest of all human desires, wisdom is the ability to make good decisions. Here's the key to good thinking. Be open to doing something completely different. Clear thinking is the first discipline, and it is the discipline practiced by the most successful, happiest, and wealthiest people in our society. The second major discipline is the discipline of daily goal setting.
Have your goals in writing. Write them out very specifically and clearly. Those 4 steps, writing and rewriting your goal each morning, reviewing them in the evening, and asking yourself those 2 questions. What did I do right? What did I do that moved me toward my goals today? And what would I do differently if I had the day to live over? If you'll ask yourself those 2 questions, in the next 30 days, you'll accomplish more than you accomplished in the last 6 months. Because every time you write your goals down, you're programming them into your subconscious mind. When you program them into your subconscious mind, you set up a field of vibration within your brain. And this law of attraction, based on this field of vibration, attracts into your life people and circumstances that harmonize with your dominant thoughts.
The third discipline is the discipline of courage.
Mark Twain said, do the thing you fear, and the death of fear is certain. Fear and courage tend to be habits. That if you are afraid and you give in to the fear and you back away, it becomes a habit to back away whenever you're afraid or unsure. If you're afraid and you force yourself to confront the fear, it becomes a habit to confront the fear whenever you find something that you're afraid of. And you'll find that most fears disappear when you confront them.
You realize that the fear was in your own mind. Identify one fear situation in your life today and use that as your challenge. Use that as your test case. Once you've done that, you'll look up and you'll be a different person. For the rest of your life, you'll know that nothing that you're afraid of can stop you. The fourth discipline is the discipline of daily time management. Disciplining yourself to plan your day thoroughly before you begin will save you at least 10 minutes for every minute you spend in planning, and according to the research, it will increase your productivity by 25 to 50%, maybe even double your productivity for every day that you plan. Begin the discipline of daily time management by making a list. The very best time to make this list is the night before. If you do this, then your subconscious mind works on your plan all night long, and you often wake up in the morning with great ideas to implement your plan. Then you organize your list by priority. You'll get twice as much done on any day where you start and complete your major task first thing than on any other day. When you have the self-control, self-mastery, self-discipline to start and complete your most important task, you just feel fabulous about yourself. The fifth discipline is the discipline of regular saving and investing.
Savings today are what guarantee the security and the possibilities of tomorrow. The first corollary of the law of saving and becoming a money-saving expert comes from the book The Richest Man in Babylon by George Clason. It is to pay yourself first. Begin today to save 10% of your earnings off the top and never touch it.
This is your fund for long-term financial accumulation, and you never use it for any other reason except to assure your financial future. Many people start by saving 10% of their income and then graduate to saving 15%, 20%, and even more. And their financial lives change dramatically as a result. And so will yours.
The sixth discipline is the discipline of continuous learning.
What takes you from rags to riches is personal development. Peter Drucker says, knowledge and skill are the keys to the 21st century. And the only thing that will be relevant, the only skill that will be relevant in the 21st century is the ability to learn new skills. Because virtually everything you know is becoming obsolete at a rapid rate. So if you're not continually learning and upgrading your knowledge and skills, you're not staying in the same place. Here are the three keys to continuous learning. Number one is read in your field 30 to 60 minutes each day. Turn off the television, turn off the radio, put aside the newspaper, and just read in your field. Read books, the best-selling books written by the most successful people in your field, because books contain a wealth of riches that can enable you to function at a far higher level, to get much better results than you could before. The second thing you do is take every course that you possibly can. The courses and seminars that are available to you in your field that are given by professionals that are courses that have been developed over years and years and years. They have been tested and tested and tested. The person who is talking to you for several hours has spent thousands of hours learning their subject. They have dry tested this or done test runs with thousands of other people. When you take a course, you can learn enough information in 1 or 2 days, more than you could learn in 2 or 3 years or maybe even a lifetime, all distilled and put together. The third way that you can upgrade your skills is listen to audio programs in your car. The more you commit yourself to becoming the best person you can be, the more you like yourself and respect yourself, the more energy you have, the bigger goals you set for yourself, the more you persist.
Now, the seventh discipline is the discipline of hard work. In the studies of self-made millionaires, again, they said, I didn't have better education, better talent, better knowledge, but I was willing to work harder than anyone else. So the harder you work, the luckier you get. The harder you work, the more opportunities you have, the more doors open up to you, the more opportunities you see. If you look at an entrepreneurial startup, a business that's being run by somebody who's really driving it forward, you'll find that the business owner is usually the first one there, works through the whole day, usually the last one to leave. Business owner usually works on Saturday and Sunday. At the end of the day, if you work 3 extra hours, start earlier, work harder, stay later, you'll add 6 hours of productive work to your day. Every hour of uninterrupted work when nobody's there translates into 3 hours of productivity when there's people around interrupting you.
The 7 personal qualities that assure success. Number 1, you must know yourself and know exactly what it is you want in life. Goal orientation is an essential requirement of all successful people. Most people starting their businesses compare themselves to millionaires. But once they get to be millionaire status, they start to compare themselves to billionaires. What kept a person going for 25 years was the mission. The ability to focus. Very important. The ability to focus is the absolute critical requirement for success. A person who is focused, of average intelligence, can run circles around a person who is a genius who doesn't have the focus. That is why people come out of the universities with PhD degrees and with master's degrees and with sometimes 5, 10, 15 years of advanced education, and they can barely make a living, and other people quit school in grade 10 and grade 11, and they come out of school and 5 or 10 years later they have their own successful businesses. It's the ability to focus the talents that you have like an arrow to hit specific targets. The only difference between a successful business person, or let us say a person who has launched a business, and one who has not, is what? Is the person who's launched the business has done it. The person who has not has not. The next personal quality that assures success is you must determine the price that you will have to pay in order to be successful, and then resolve to pay that price. For every single thing you want in life, there's a price. In a recent study, they found that in our society, you work 8 hours a day for survival. If you're only working 8 hours a day, you won't do anything more than survive. Every additional hour, whether you're working for yourself or someone else, is for success. And so it's very important that you keep putting in those additional hours, whether it's extra reading, extra study, extra work. Number 3 characteristic is self-responsibility. You have to accept 100% responsibility for your life and for everything that you are or ever will be. And the opposite of accepting full responsibility is making excuses. And many people have said that making excuses is a disease that is fatal to success.
In the military academies, I think it's worldwide, it's the same. But in the military academies, whenever you are confronted with a senior officer and you have, let us say you have your tie is askew or your jacket is not ironed, and you're only allowed to give one of three answers. Yes, sir, no excuse. You are not allowed to say any other word. That's how they train the top officers in the world, because they know that nothing makes a person weaker or littler than always making excuses. No leader could be a leader if all they did was make excuses. Henry Ford once gave this motto for success. It's never complain, never explain.
Number 5, you must be willing to work hard, to go the extra mile, and to always do more than you're paid for. One of the major secrets of success is always do more than you're paid for, and then you will always be paid more than what you're getting now. And number 6, you must use your time well. Remember, this life is not a rehearsal for anything else in life. And all successful business people, all self-made millionaires, look upon their time as a resource, and they're very careful with it. They spend their time the way they would spend money.
Successful people always look at time and money, and they realize that the two are interchangeable. Now here's another important point. You can invest time to get more money. You can invest money to get more time. And time and money put together equal happiness.
Finally, number 7,
The ability to spot trends and to be aware of changes and where the changes are going. In a recent Fortune magazine article on why companies fail, they said one of the major reasons for failure is the failure to anticipate how changes are going to affect their business and to go on doing things the same way. So there are two obstacles to becoming everything you are capable of becoming. Obstacle number 1 is homeostasis. It means that you become rigid and fixed in the way that you think. It's a major reason that people don't grow is because they get locked into what they've already done in the past, and they're very uneasy about doing something new. And you're not willing to try new things. So what you do is by creating a big goal, you're forced out of your comfort zone because you cannot stay at your current level of performance and set a big goal for yourself. The goal forces you to think bigger, which is why we talked about putting a 0 at the end of your income goal.
Learn to see the opportunity that's right around you. It's easy to get busy and sort of blinded and just walk along and not see what's possible and what's available.
You see, the average man believes some businesses are better than others, instead of realizing the truth that there are no bad businesses. There are just those people who don't know enough to see the opportunities in the work they're in. It takes imagination, creative imagination, to know that diamonds don't look like diamonds in their rough state, nor does a pile of iron ore look like iron or steel. Great opportunities lurk constantly in every aspect of the work in which we now find ourselves. People who become outstanding at their work are those who see their work as an opportunity for growth and development, and who prepare themselves for the opportunities which surround them every day. If we will only have the wisdom and patience to intelligently and effectively explore the work in which we're now engaged, we'll usually find that it contains the riches we seek, whether they be financial or intangible or both.
Here's the definition of success and failure. Just make this note. Here's failure, a few errors in judgment repeated every day. Now, you can automatically assume, Mr. Owen, I say, I can understand that. A few errors in judgment repeated every day for 6 years. I'm with my father. I think I told the story the last time I was here. My father, 88 years old, he's never been ill, still hasn't retired. Not long ago, midnight, we're getting ready to go to bed. We've drilled a new well, got some extra water, got some more acres going. He's all excited at midnight. We're getting ready to go to bed. My father's eating what he calls his midnight snack, a little bite to eat before you go to bed. Don't have to go to bed hungry. And I'm watching him eat this midnight snack. Guess what he had? An apple, a few graham crackers, and a glass of grapefruit juice. I said to my father, so healthy. My mom taught us all those good health practices, taught me when I was growing up. right? I'm an only child. I've never been ill. That's the big 50 some time ago. My 2 daughters, 32, 33, never been ill. My grandkids never been ill. I'm telling you, the legacy lingers on. As I watched my father have this midnight snack, suddenly it occurred to me, I know that's part of it. An apple a day. That's gotten to Dallas-Fort Worth, right? An apple a day keeps the doctor away. Good question for this intelligent audience. What if that's true? You say, oh, well, Mr. Owen, if that's true, that would be easy to do. Then what's the problem? It's easy not to do. It's easy not to adopt it as your own personal philosophy. Or the guy next door says a Hershey bar a day. Say, oh no, you've been watching too much television. It is not Hershey bar. You've got to be smarter in philosophy than to fall for the Hershey bar a day when it's an apple a day. You've got to be smarter than that. And if you make that kind of an error in judgment every day for 6 years, I'm telling you, it'll accumulate into disaster. Sometimes in the first year you say, well, you know, I'm so healthy now. What difference is it going to make? You've got to be smarter than that. Just because disaster doesn't fall on us at the end of the first day doesn't mean disaster isn't coming. You've got to be so smart that you look down the road and say, will the errors in my present judgment or philosophy, what's that going to cost me in 1 year, 6 years, 1 month, 6 months? I'm telling you, the money cost and the health cost and the success cost is too gigantic. If you look down the road a little ways and say, are there errors in my current judgment? Like an apple versus a Hershey bar? Is that just a good illustration of some of the rest of my errors in judgment? If it is, that's where I found myself at age 25. I started working when I was 19. I met my teacher who helped turn my life around when I was 25. That's 6 years. At the end of the first 6 years of my economic life, I've got pennies in my pocket. I've got nothing in the bank. The creditors are calling saying, hey, you told us the check was in the mail. I'm embarrassed. I'm behind on my promises. I live in America. I'm a 25-year-old American male. I've got a nice family, every reason to do well, and I messed up. Now what's messed up? I used to think it was the community that was messed up, and the country was messed up, and the government was messed up. If those Democrats ever get in the White House, that'll really mess things up. If the Republicans stay in power, that'll really mess things up. The economy was messed up. Interest rates were messed up. I thought all this stuff was messed up. Then I found out that's not what was messed up. I was criticizing the only thing I had to work with. What was really messed up was my own personal philosophy, my own errors in judgment. And my own personal philosophy brought me, in 6 years, 2 pennies in my pocket, nothing in the bank, and trying to explain why I wasn't doing well living in America. A 25-year-old American male got a family, every reason to do well. Once I understood this, here's the formula for failure. Errors in judgment, being lax about developing your own personal philosophy, killing. It's called accumulated disaster. It doesn't matter whether it's your health or your bank account. A guy's got an empty bank account, probably has high cholesterol. Why? Over the last 6 years, he never paid attention to either one. And it doesn't matter whether it's a dollar, whether it's your money, or whether it's your cholesterol counts. All you've got to do is commit the errors. And just because disaster doesn't fall on you at the end of the first day that you don't eat an apple. You say, well, I didn't eat an apple today and tonight I'm not ill. Well, you've got to be brighter than that. Someday you've got to leave first grade. Reason we make those first grade desks so small so they won't fit at age 25. I mean, right? You don't belong here anymore. Let me give you the secret to success, the formula for failure. A few errors in judgment repeated every day for 1 month starts the weakness, starts the disaster process. You can imagine what happens in 6 years and every other habit that you've got. If you'll start that process, eliminate the errors, and replace it with disciplines practiced, I'm telling you, you can start this process of life change immediately after today. You don't ever have to be the same again, only by choice. You don't have to walk out of here the same as you walked in today, only by choice. You can start a whole new process. And you say, well, Mr. Owen, is it that simple? Yes, it's that simple. Where else would you start but with an apple? You don't have to start with something staggering. What if you should be walking around the block for your good health and you don't? What'll that do in 6 years? I'm telling you, the word is disaster. You could and you should and you don't. Here's an even stronger word. You won't. Don't might mean you're careless. Won't probably means you're stubborn, and either one is called disaster. Could, should, don't. I'm telling you. That's why at the end of 5 years, 6 years, I found myself with pennies in my pocket. Nothing in the bank. Creditors calling. Could, should, won't. Could, should, don't is called disaster. Now, how do you change all that? The next 6 years, I got rich. The next 6 years, I became a millionaire by the time I'm 31. I'm a millionaire. How about that? You say, well, Mr. Owen, what happened? Well, strangely enough, during that second 6 years of my economic life, the government was about the same. I'm telling you, taxes were about the same. My negative relatives were nothing. I'm telling you, the economy was about the same, and prices were about the same, and everything else was about the same. Circumstances were about the same. Then how come I got rich? How come I totally changed my life? I was not the same. Somebody says, well, what did you go to work on to do all that? I started with my philosophy. I started amending my errors by doing some better thinking, changing my mind, and coming up with ideas that I didn't have before I met my teacher. And once that whole process started for me, I'm telling you, I changed my whole life within a 6-year period. I was never the same, and I've kept up that process all these years. One of the reasons why I'm here is to continue my craft. I don't want the day to come someday somebody says, you should have heard Jim Rohn 10 years ago when he was really terrific. I want people to say, I heard him 10 years ago, but you should hear him now. I'm telling you, the man works on his craft. I'm telling you, the man's done some extra reading. I'm telling you, the man doesn't miss a trick. I'm telling you, he's worked hard on himself. That's why he's able to deliver like he does. The same thing can happen for you as a teenager. It can happen to you as a mother, as a father, as a business person, as a salesperson. Running a business doesn't matter, management, wherever you find yourself. This is the process called personal change. And what I say to start with is start with your own philosophy. Your philosophy is going to determine whether or not you go for the disciplines or continue the errors. That's called potential disaster. And everybody has it within their power. What was so happy for me to find out at age 25, Mr. Show said. Mr. Owen, you don't have to change country, but you do have to change velocity. And if you'll change philosophy, not country, you can turn around your income. You can turn around your bank account. You can turn around your skills. You can become capable, powerful, sophisticated, healthy, influential, all the other equities that you could possibly want out of your life using the only stuff there is and not trying to change any of this stuff. Appreciate all of this stuff with all of its ups and downs, with all of its mystery of why it works and sometimes it doesn't work. Don't challenge this. You don't have to ask for another planet. You don't have to ask for another country. Just ask for another book. Ask for another seminar. Ask for another idea. And you can start this whole process of personal life change. Now, I can spend the whole day on philosophy. That's where it is. If I could get you intrigued with that enough to study it, enough to ponder it, to where you'd pick up the commitment like I did. Say, hey, as simple as an apple a day, as simple as a walk around the block? Why not start right there? If you don't start there, where else are you going to start? Might as well start where it's easy and then go to the more complicated discipline. Because if you can't handle the complicated, the simple disciplines, how can you handle the complicated thoughts? Held in mind produce after their kind. What you think becomes your reality. Earl Nightingale in his audio program, The Strangest Secret, says that you become what you think about. Ralph Waldo Emerson summarized this idea more than 100 years ago. Dimension of your external life. If you want to be happy, you need to clearly define for yourself and create the mental equivalent or picture of exactly what happiness means to you. If you wish to enjoy health and long life or happy relationships or financial prosperity, you need to create in your mind an exact, detailed picture of what you desire, as a result of a whole series of other laws that I'll be discussing. This becomes the critical starting point that begins inevitably to lead you to the realization of your dreams and goals.
The fourth law of success is called the law of correspondence. This law has been talked about for perhaps 4,000 years, and it's one of the fundamental laws that explains human experience. It simply says that as within, so without. It says that your outer life will tend to be a mirror image of your inner life. Your external world will tend to correspond almost exactly to what is going on inside both your conscious and subconscious minds. There are four major areas where you see the law of correspondence working all the time. The first is simply in your attitude. Whatever your attitude is, often before you even say anything, people will reflect it back to you in the way they talk to you, in the way they talk to you and treat you. As within, so without. The second area where the law of correspondence is evident is in your relationships. Your relationships will almost perfectly mirror your attitude and your personality. If you're a good and happy person, you'll have good and happy relationships. As you become a more patient and tolerant and loving person, your relationships will reflect this almost immediately, very much as a mirror will do. The third area of correspondence that you see is in your health. Much of your health can be directly traced to specific attitudes that cause you to suffer from minor and major illnesses. The extensive work that's been done in the area of holistic medicine seems to suggest that there are corresponding attitudes of mind for most illnesses that you or I suffer from, the common cold and flu, all the way up to the most serious illnesses that are often life-threatening. Whenever you're anxious or upset or unhappy for any reason, for any period of time, your body will begin to reflect those feelings. The entire basis of psychosomatic medicine is the conclusion that your mind, psycho, makes your body, soma, sick. What your mind harbors, your body eventually expresses. The fourth application of the law of correspondence is that your external world of material accomplishment will exactly correspond to your internal world of preparation. The more knowledge and skill you gain that helps you to be more effective in your work, the more you will be paid. You can't hope to acquire or achieve anything more on the outside until you've acquired it or achieved it on the inside. The law of correspondence reigns supreme. The fifth law of success is the law of belief, which says that whatever you believe with emotion becomes your reality. You always have a tendency to act in a manner consistent with your innermost beliefs and convictions. Your beliefs, in fact, act like a filter or a screen that edits out incoming information and only allows into your conscious awareness the things that you've already decided are true about yourself and the world. William James of Harvard said, "Belief creates the actual fact." In the Bible, it says, "Whatever a man thinketh in his heart, so is he." For example, if you absolutely believe that you are meant to be a great success in life and that no matter what happens, nothing can stop you from achieving the greatness that is yours, you'll act in a manner consistent with that belief, and you'll eventually make it come true. If you doubt your ability to be successful for any reason, this negative belief will be demonstrated in your tendency to hold yourself back. The most important part of the law of belief is the necessity for you to question your own self-limiting beliefs. These are the beliefs that act like the brakes on your potential. These are the nagging doubts and fears that people have about themselves and their abilities that cause them to sell themselves short. When you have self-limiting beliefs, you have a tendency to settle for far less than you may be capable of. Self-limiting beliefs revolve around your ability to lose weight or quit smoking or earn a certain amount of money or be attractive to members of the opposite sex or develop new abilities that are more conducive to your success and happiness. One of the most important steps you can take toward achieving great success is for you to question these self-limiting beliefs. You might even ask others who know you well what self-limiting beliefs they seem to think that you have that may be holding you back. Remember, self-limiting beliefs are often used as excuses. A good way to test your self-limiting beliefs is to ask yourself whether anyone else with the limitations you perceive you have has nonetheless gone on to achieve success. You can also look at your own actions to decide what it is that you truly value. Remember, it's not what you say or hope or wish or intend that is a true expression of your value. You only truly believe what you do. Your actions do speak far more loudly than your words. For example, if you truly believe in the values of persistence and dedication, it'll be evident in the things that you do every single day. If you truly believe in the values of honesty and integrity and self-discipline, you'll demonstrate these qualities in your every behavior. In fact, you can tell what a person values by looking at what they did in the past when the pressure was on. It's only when you're forced to make a choice that you know what it is you really value. For example, when you have to choose between family and work, or between money and work, or between money and honesty, your true values come out. The wonderful and important thing about your values is that you can develop them in yourself by disciplining yourself to act consistent with them, even if you haven't yet made them a fixed part of your character. I'll explain this later in the program. The seventh law of success is the law of motivation, which says that everything you do is triggered by inner desires and urges and instincts, many of which may be at an unconscious level, and your attitudes and behaviors will be determined by your dominant motivations, by what you really want and need in life, not by what you think you want. This is an extension of the law of values, and it's very important for you to understand. There's a simple formula called the ABC formula of human motivation and human action. The ABC stands for antecedents, behavior, and consequences. The antecedents are the things that happen before the behavior. The behaviors are the things you do. The consequences are what happens as a result of your behavior. We know that psychologically only about 15% of your motivation comes from the antecedents, from what you read or learn or are told to do or not do. However, about 85% of your motivation comes from your expectations, what you think will happen. It's your beliefs about the consequences, about the future, that cause you to behave in a certain way. The clearer you are about the consequences of your actions, and the more intensely you desire to enjoy the consequences that your behaviors may lead to, the more motivated you'll be. This is why it's so important to have absolute clarity with regard to your goals in each area of your life in order for you to be motivated to perform at your very best. An important point with regard to the ABC formula is that your behaviors are not guaranteed to achieve the consequences that you desire, but every behavior or action that you engage in will generate a consequence of some kind. One of the most important parts of understanding motivation and behavior is to realize that both actions and inactions have consequences. What you do as well as what you fail to do will have a consequence in your future, and sometimes the consequences can be dramatic and long-lasting. A good exercise in success is for you to write out a description of the type of person that you'd like to be and the kind of life that you'd like to be living. The most powerful faculty that you'd like to be living, the most powerful faculty that you have is your ability to think, your ability to understand. The more accurately you can think about who you are and what you want to accomplish and how to accomplish it, the more effective and successful you will be. The eighth law of success is the law of subconscious activity, and it has several applications. The first part of this law is that whatever thought or idea mixed with emotion you hold in your conscious mind will be accepted as a command by your subconscious mind, will be accepted as a command by your subconscious mind. This means that whatever thought, idea, or goal you can hold in your mind on a continuing basis, you can have because your subconscious mind will go to work to organize all of your thoughts and actions to bring it into your reality. If you desire to earn or attain a certain amount of money and you think about it continually day and night, and you use every means possible to drive this desire or hope deep into your subconscious mind will begin committing more and more of its reserve capacity toward bringing that goal or desire into your life. The second part of the law of subconscious activity is that your subconscious mind, once you give it the proper commands, will trigger your reticular cortex and its function, the reticular activating system. Your reticular cortex is a small finger, like part of your brain that alerts you to events and circumstances around you that are consistent with your dominant desires or concerns. For example, if you decided that you wanted to buy a red sports car, this desire would signal to your reticular cortex that red sports cars are now of paramount importance to you. From that moment on, you would see red sports cars everywhere. Even a block away, you would become extremely alert and sensitive to red sports cars, as well as to the means of attaining one of them. If one of your goals is to achieve financial independence and you imbue this goal with intense desire, also controls your body language and your tone of voice. Professor Moravian of the University of California, Santa Barbara has concluded that when you communicate with others, fully 55% of the message you send is contained in your body language, 38% of the message you send is contained in your tone of voice, and only 7% of the message you send is contained in your tone of voice, and only 7% of the message is contained in the actual words that you use. And your body language and tone of voice are largely controlled by messages about yourself and your goals that you've sent to your subconscious mind as the result of the way you think and feel. For example, when you've had a success of any kind, you send a charge of emotional energy to your subconscious mind that tells it that you're a winner. For some time afterwards, you walk and talk and act and think like a winner. Your step will be brisker, your voice will be stronger, your eyes will be more focused, and your body language will signify this belief about yourself. Your subconscious mind will accept your predominant emotional thoughts and organize your entire body, voice, and tone to fit a pattern consistent with it. The ninth law of success is the law of expectations. It's often called the law of the self-fulfilling prophecy. It's one of the most powerful of all laws because of its simplicity and its predictability. This law simply says that whatever you expect with confidence will have a tendency to materialize in your life. You get not what you want, but what you expect with the greatest intensity. For this reason, an attitude of positive self-expectancy seems to go hand in hand with great success in every area of your life. The wonderful thing about the law of expectations is that you have the power to manufacture your own expectations. You can decide to expect only good things to happen to you. You can walk and talk and act as though you believe the entire world was conspiring to help you achieve your goals. You can become what W. Clement Stone is often referred to as an inverse paranoid. You can become convinced that the entire world is conspiring to do you good. The way that you apply the law of expectations is by constantly looking for the good in every person and every situation. When you have a temporary setback, you can look into the setback for the valuable lesson that it might contain. Instead of becoming upset, you can say to yourself something like, I believe in the perfect outcome of every situation in my life. This kind of affirmation causes you to affirmation you do with a more positive and open and optimistic attitude. The most powerful of all expectations are the expectations you have of yourself. You should approach everything you do with an attitude of calm, confident self-expectancy. You should expect to be successful more times than you're unsuccessful. Expect to win more times than you lose, and expect to eventually achieve your goals if you carry on long enough. The 10th law of success, which applies to many other areas of life, is called the law of concentration. It says that whatever you concentrate on and think about repeatedly with emotion tends to become more and more a part of your inner and outer life. Some of the most important work in psychology shows that if you dwell upon qualities that you wish to develop, like courage and sincerity and persistence, you tend to actually build those qualities brick by brick into your character and personality. The law of concentration goes hand in hand with the law of subconscious activity, and it largely explains the person that you are today. Whatever you've concentrated on in the past and are concentrating on in the present is having a major impact on your conduct and behavior. What you concentrate on largely determines the quality and quantity of the results that you get and the success that you enjoy. The 11th law of success is the law of habit. It says that virtually everything that you do is automatic and unthinking. You are largely a creature of habit. It says that from the time you get up in the morning to the time you go to bed at night, you have a tendency to follow the path of least resistance and to do the things that you've become accustomed to doing in the past. You eat the same foods for breakfast, you brush your teeth with the same toothpaste, you take the same route to work, you greet people with the same words, you go to lunch at the same time, you work in the same way. Now, there's nothing wrong with establishing habits that enable you to simplify your life. In fact, your life becomes successful to the degree to which many of the things you once needed to concentrate on, such as driving your car, have become automatic and unthinking. When you make certain things habitual so they no longer require thought, your mind then becomes free to concentrate on other things that can be more helpful to you in achieving the things that you really want.
There are several parts of the law of habit, and the first of these is that good habits are hard to form but easy to live with. The second part is that bad habits are easy to form but hard to live with. It's one of the hardest of all things to change. Our bad habits probably leading you to failure. The way that you overcome bad habits is simply to override them by the development of new, more positive habits. For example, if you have a golf swing that's causing your ball to go into the rough, you can override that habitual swing by taking lessons and learning how to hit the ball differently. If you have a habit of getting up later than you should, You can override that habit by repeatedly getting up earlier until that new behavior becomes the habit that dominates your thinking and your actions. It's by practicing the law of concentration in conjunction with the law of habit and thinking continually about how you would be with a new habit or behavior. You drive this message into your subconscious mind, and you eventually begin to behave in a manner consistent with the new habits you wish to form. This brings us to the 12th law, one of the most important of all the laws of success, and that is the law of attraction. The law of attraction says that you are a living magnet and that you inevitably attract into your life the people, events, and circumstances that harmonize with your dominant thoughts. This is why we say that whatever you can hold in your mind on a continuing basis, you can have. It's whatever thought you hold clearly and mix with emotion. Begin setting up a force field of mental energy that begins drawing towards you the things that you need to achieve that goal. This law of attraction has been written about for hundreds, if not thousands of years. It's contained in the old folk sayings like attracts like, or like begets like, or you've perhaps heard birds of a feather flock together. My friend Mark Victor Hansen says that whatever you want wants you. These are all ways of saying that your mind is extremely powerful and that whatever you think, emotionalized, becomes a form of energy like a magnet that's attracting the events and circumstances you experience into your life. In music, the law of attraction is often referred to as the law of sympathetic resonance. It explains, for example, that if you have two pianos in a large room and you hit the key of C on one of the pianos and then walk across the room to the other piano, the C note or string on the second piano will be vibrating in perfect harmony or resonance with the SECS string on the first piano. One of the most common examples of this law is when you enter a room full of people and you almost invariably have a sympathetic resonance or attraction with someone else in the room. You'll have a tendency to gravitate toward a person with whom you are comfortable and compatible, and that person will have a tendency to gravitate towards you. It's very often two single people at a social gathering will have a level of sympathetic resonance that draws them toward each other and into conversation. It's by the same token, when you have a very clear goal or idea, you will tend to attract people to you and be attracted to people who have ideas and information and resources that can help you to realize that goal. Another illustration of the law of attraction is its opposite, which is the law of repulsion. When you begin to become a particular kind of person because of the way you change your thinking, you will find yourself attracted to people who are similar to you, and you will also find yourself repelling and being repelled by people who don't think the way you do. This law explains why positive people tend to associate with other positive people and why negative people tend to associate with other negative people and why neither group finds the other group of very much interest. You can begin to fill your life with the kind of people that you respect and admire by simply becoming the kind of person in your thoughts that will attract them to you. The 13th law of success is the law of choice, which says that you are always free to choose the content of your conscious mind, but in doing so, you are choosing every other part of your life. Your thoughts control your reality. And since no one else but you can think for you, the thoughts that you choose to harbor determine everything that happens in your life. The wonderful thing about the law of choice is that it says that you have complete freedom to think and therefore to be anything that you intensely desire. The choice is always up to you. The law of choice also says that you are where you are and what you are because you have chosen to be there. If you're not happy with where you are and what you are, it's up to you to choose to be and do something else. The 14th law of success is the law of optimism, which simply says that a positive mental attitude goes hand in hand with success and happiness in virtually every dimension of life. The quality of optimism is the quality that makes you into a cheerful and pleasant person, a person that other people like and want to be around and help. The most successful men and women tend to be very likable people. The more optimistic you are, the happier you'll be moment to moment, and the more things you'll be willing to attempt. The 15th law of success, the law of change, says simply that change is inevitable. The only constant we have in life is that of change. Everything is changing even as you listen to this tape. But the wonderful thing about the law of change is that nothing is fixed either. All progress requires change. And since change is happening in any case, you can be and have and do anything you want by simply harnessing the forces of change and taking advantage of it. The law of change also says that your life can only get better when you get better, but not until. It says that you can't remain the same and somehow improve. The law says that if you don't take advantage of change, you will end up being the victim of change. Things will happen over which he paid for his average lifestyle, and like most average people, he was going nowhere with his life. Then one day, something happened to him. Perhaps he read a book that woke him up, or listened to an audio program, or attended a motivational seminar. Whatever it was, he wasn't the same afterwards. He realized that he could choose to do and be something else. He applied the law of choice. By the law of change, he realized that his life could only improve if he began changing in a positive direction. Using the law of cause and effect, he made some decisions about what he wanted to accomplish and then began searching out the causes of the effects he desired. By the law of optimism, he was positive toward himself and its possibilities. He expected good things to happen, triggering the law of expectations. He went to work on his thinking, and he began to dwell by the law of concentration on his ideal lifestyle. By the law of subconscious activity, he began to walk and talk like the person he envisioned himself becoming. He also began noticing opportunities to advance himself that he hadn't seen before. As he changed his thinking, he triggered the law of mind and the law of mental equivalency, and he created a clear picture of his goals. By the law of correspondence, his outer world began to reflect his new, improved inner world. His beliefs about himself began to change, and by the law of attraction, people and resources began to appear to help him move toward his goal. As he concentrated on his desires, his values and motivations changed, and he began developing the kind of habits that lead to success. In no time at all, by bringing his life into alignment and harmony with the laws of success, he began moving forward at a rate that surprised even him. And so can you. The laws of success are based on the foundational principle that in order for you to succeed, you must first decide what success means to you. You can then begin to apply these laws to your definition of success to bring it more rapidly into your reality. Get off of Instagram and Snap and get off all these blogs. Get into something that can really, really move your life forward. Getting successful is not a magic trick. The difference between successful people and non-successful people is here. If you want to be successful, you have to change this. This has to change. It's not what makes it hard. It's your lack of belief that it can happen for you. So if you're at a place in your life and you aren't happy with it, you have to change some things. You have to make a conscious, interesting decision that you're going to change, and it's not dependent on anybody else. You get to decide if you're going to be rich, poor, mediocre, plentiful, happy, sad. It's really not important what the majority of people that are blogging are saying. As a matter of fact, bloggers are not relevant people. So when you spend so much time in the blog world, the Instagram world, the chat world, all of this, you're wasting valuable time. I was young and I had what you have, and you're the brightest group of young people that have come along in a long time. Man, millennials are absolutely brilliant because you all have technology. Oh God, Google. You can Google anything. You all have stuff at your fingertips that can make you great. But if you could combine your technology with your parents and your grandparents' work ethic, you could be rich. You could be rich, man, but you cannot erase the work ethic part. I hate it when I see young people wasting their time, wasting all this technology, just sitting around in this world that's been created for you, that everything is instant. You've got to understand that's success. You can't Google success. You can't Google it, man. I've seen stuff hopefully you'll never see, and I've seen some things I hope one day you do see, but go Google exposure. It ain't gonna take you nowhere. I have a life of convenience now, but in order to get the life of convenience, you've got to have a very uncomfortable life. Stop trying to do everything the short way. Stop trying to figure out the easy way because it ain't gonna happen. You gotta get messed up sometimes. You gotta get dirty. You gotta get your feelings hurt. You gotta get disappointed. You gotta get told no. But at least then when I see somebody trying and I tell them no, I try to at least give them something else. Once you get this, y'all, you can change everything. Negativity, you can protect yourself from negativity, and that's what stops most people. For unseen, it's a real simple exercise to do. I do it every morning before I walk out the door, so I walk out as a positive. I get tired sometimes because I get mentally drained from my job at times, but to coach your mind from negativity, the way you can put a coating around your mind is with one simple: gratitude. Gratitude erases negativity. If you wake up in the morning and start having negative thoughts, I'm tripping, I just don't feel myself. Every time you feel in the middle of the day, if you feel yourself doing that, stop. Just stop for a second and start going over in your mind everything you have to be grateful for, everything you already have. You can walk, that's a blessing. You woke up, that's another blessing. The fact that you can see, think, reason, that's another blessing. You can go somewhere and get yourself something to eat, that's another blessing. The ability to dream is a blessing. Start coating your mind with gratitude. It can change everything for you.